Look at that. Hunk's trying to mute me.
All right, so this week began with the NCAA investigating the University of Tennessee, and Tennessee quickly with strong statements from the hierarchy going after the NCAA. They went to the
Bringing
mattresses.
the heat.
Yep.
No need playing around.
Leave the gun, take the cannoli. So Chancellor Plowman went all in. The president went all in. The governor went all in. And so now here we sit, and I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia joined in a class action lawsuit. And Shannon Terry with On3.com told us, I don't know, a year ago at their event downtown that antitrust lawsuits would be involved in this thing. And here we sit. Shannon Terry joins us now from On3.com. Shannon, what's up, man? How are you?
Great to be here. How about this beautiful weather in Nashville today?
How about it, man?
69 degrees, baby.
You get any shots up today?
No, we've been stuck in our office today. There's a lot going on.
A little busy, I can imagine.
Got a nice office over there, too. We're looking for the invite, Shannon. That's a nice On3 office you guys got. Just saying.
Hey, next week. We've been here 2 weeks, and we're still trying to figure it out. It's the old Service Merchandise building from back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, OG Nashville stuff right there, boy. That was a trip. Like, if my mom was like, hey, I got to go Service Merchandise. I'm like,
I'm on
let's
the way.
go.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Yep.
History, absolutely. All right, so what was your take when you see the NCAA? First, I guess they went after Florida, Tennessee now involved, and they're using even though they came up with their NIL deal in May of 2022, Nico committed in March. They want to use this retroactive thing. So my analogy to that was like you've got a kid that has no restrictions at night, and then he was out after 10 o'clock. And a couple weeks later, his parents say, "Yeah, you got a curfew at 10, and you are now grounded from a couple weeks ago." Like, how crazy is that? Can they do that?
I think the way we got to look at this is we got to look at it in a much bigger picture. Okay. So first of all, let me say that all of this that is happening right now, I think is really just speeding along an ultimate solution, which is going to happen. Now, I've said it to you guys, and I've kind of maintained it would be about start to finish about 2 years from last summer, before we would be on a path to knowing what this is all going to look like. And I'm not convinced it's going to be any sooner, but I think we're going to have in the next 6 months a really good idea of what the next optic around the next strategy around college sports is going to look like. This actual situation with the NCAA and Tennessee, number of things. Number one, it's just speeding along the inevitable. That's the first part. So it's not it's not surprising, but I will say this. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's about 2 million tactically stupid by the NCAA. It couldn't have been a more idiotic move ever. I mean, you can't – it is unbelievable. Now, I am surprised that there weren't other AGs involved, other states, because I knew that there were some that were in discussion. I was a little surprised it was just Virginia and Tennessee. But it was an incredibly idiotic move, because if Tennessee is granted a temporary restraining order, an injunction in their order, the NCAA as we know it is over at that point in time. Anything goes. So, and here's two last points, and not to ramble.
No.
It is standard operating procedure what is going on at this point in time. So whatever Tennessee did or didn't do is the standard operating procedure of the climate, the universe, and the situation that we're in. And I'll conclude with this one last thought. We hear the term NIL all the time. We're talking about, is it a $500 million industry right now? Is it a $1 billion industry? No one really knows. But here's the facts that I do know. For the most part, NIL is a very, very small universe. Okay, there are very few athletes that really have strong sports marketing opportunities. Those athletes are the Arch Mannings of the world, the Livy Dunns, the legacy names, the household names. Probably count them, probably no more than 30 in all of college sports. The bulk of all NIL money is actually just what we call roster value. It is money that is coming from collectives or boosters or schools That's 90% of the dollars. There's over $300 million right now that is being deployed, roster value, to build, to recruit, to form these rosters that's paying these players. $300 million, that's about 90% of the entire universe. That's just college football.
Wow. That's crazy.
Shannon Terry with us from on3.com. So 6 months from now, you say we'll have an idea of what this thing's going to look like. What do you think? What do you anticipate? What do you think?
Well, you've got a bunch of different things. The House NCAA antitrust, that was granted class action status, which, the NCAA's got, $4 billion of exposure there. That's a problem. Here's the problem. The biggest problem is that college football, and in some cases college basketball, for the most part, generates all the revenue in the sport. But the problem is, you've got Title IX and you've got labor laws. So the only solution that can occur is some form of a spin-out of the revenue-generating part of college sports, which is college football.
Yeah.
Whether it's another association with 40 or 50 schools, whether those athletes in that case are employees or contractors, but there has to be some form of collective bargaining agreement, salary caps, et cetera. And I think two things are going to happen. The solution is going to come from Sankey and Petit. Okay. The solution is going to come from the SEC and the Big Ten. I've been screaming that for a year. Today you saw the monumental news that they had formed a joint advisory group to come up with some options. That's just the start. So that's the solution is going to come from that. And I think it's going to end up being something similar to the hospital licensing model, where new association that generates all the revenue for profit, pays the licensing fee, spends money, to fund athletics. But there's a solution there, but it is not going to fall in the current construct in any form of traditional NCAA.
Shannon, let me ask you this, man. Do you think this will push it along on the grounds of not worrying about the chain of command if they were going to form a big super conference and have all the Power Fours that remain in there? Or do you think that could slow it down as far as saying, okay, we don't want, for example, Commissioner Sankey to lead this group. We want to have a roundtable discussion more so than a chain of command having a hierarchy.
Have Shannon Terry lead it.
Hey, I'm with it.
Well, the conference realignment, I think, has really helped things because it created more chaos. Now, how do we find solutions? We find solutions in the midst of chaos, or we just die. We survive when we're forced to adapt, or we die. College sports, college football is thriving. Okay, let's take a step back right now. Number one, athletes. Athletes have the best opportunity they ever have. They're getting somewhere between $125,000 to $160,000 worth of annual value from their scholarships, their perks, their all the things. Plus now they have NIL money. Coaches and admins and support. They're making more money than they have ever made. 42% of an athletic budget is going to coaches, support, admin, and severances, TV rights, media rights, revenue deals. So my point is this: for all and parity, by the way, parity. NIL transfer portal is creating more parity.
Yep.
For all of the naysayers and all of the talk, the balance sheet is stronger than it's ever been. The interest in college sports is stronger than it's ever been.
Yes, sir.
So there will be solutions quickly.
Yeah.
And all of these problems that we're seeing right now, all it's doing is speeding the process along. So instead of this being a kind of a nagging thorn, in the space for the next 3, 4, 5 years, we're going to get solutions much quicker because of it.
I know it's Shannon Terry from On3 with us right now. I know obviously it's Tennessee and Virginia jumped in. I don't know what you've heard. I've heard other states could jump in, almost like a class action thing. Were these states and schools just waiting for the NCAA to go after somebody about NIL, and then whoever they went after was just going to go after the NCAA and everybody would jump in? Like, were they just waiting, do you think?
Yes. I do. And there are others that are as well. Like
Yeah.
I said, I was really surprised it was just Virginia and Tennessee.
Yeah, and from what I hear, they're trying to get Nico
Wow.
suspended, and I don't know how all that stuff is going to play itself out, but it is fascinating. And you mentioned and talked in great detail about it, and I appreciate it. The SEC and the Big Ten thing happening today, and we asked you to come on the show before this happened, but you weren't surprised at all because you've been saying this for a long time. How surprised do you think the ACC and the Big 12 was? Because this is more than like just evaluating college landscape. This is a power move by the Big Ten and the SEC, and they're playing chess. They're not thinking about that one move. They're thinking about down the road. So what does this move mean for down the road?
Yeah, these discussions have been going on for quite some time.
Yeah.
So I think right after SEC media days, around that time, it became incredibly apparent to the power brokers of the SEC and the Big Ten that the Hail Mary in front of Congress was going to go nowhere. And so, I think if you go back and you listen to the speeches and, from all the conference commissioners, there's a lot of hope that the federal government was going to, save the day. And so once it was very clear, that wasn't going to happen, all the discussions at that point in time, started. And the ACC and the other conferences, they're not a player right now. And everyone knows it, including them.
And so that's why we see storylines about Florida State trying to get out of their deal. What do you know about that situation? Do you think they can get out of the legalese that they have with the ACC?
I'm not really equipped to. I don't know.
Okay.
It's not something that I've dug in. I'd have to question with someone else.
All right.
So we've seen it kind of ties into the NIL world and really where college football is right now. But we have seen a lot of college coaches jump to the NFL. And then another report out there, I don't know if it is true yet or not, but Liam Cohen, another guy that might jump back to the NFL as well. Jeff Hafley of BC, who basically said, as a head coach in college football, decided to go to the NFL as a coordinator and just said, part of it is the landscape of college football right now. What are your thoughts on that? And it's not necessarily just NIL, but it is the fact that, a lot of people have said, oh, it's the wild, wild west and all of that. Do you think it will get fixed, I guess, before more college coaches jump because of the schedule and what's going on in college football?
I think the problem is the uncertainty of how they're supposed to act. It's hard to – of course, there are a lot of coaches. All the coaches are making crazy sums of money. And they're probably at this point in time, it's worth it for the simple reason that, I feel for them. They don't know what's right and wrong, and so, do you want to operate where any moment you're breaking rules and laws that you don't even know exist, or you don't understand everything is up for interpretation right now. And here's the idiocy of this situation right now. And I want to state this again. There will be somewhere around $300 million over the next 12 months that will be deployed primarily through collectives in the world of college football to athletes in the form of roster value under the category of NIL. $300 million, okay, between 65 schools. Okay, call it pay for play, call it whatever you want to get it, but for the NCAA to come out of the gate and challenge Florida State and Tennessee, it just shows you how archaic and how fundamentally blind and behind they have been for years. And so I think this week alone could end up being, this week is going to be the final nail in the coffin of the NCAA as we know it today.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, I've been saying that too, and I'm curious to get your take on this. So in the world of college football, yes, I agree. Do you think the NCAA still exists to monitor the other sports?
Could, and it should.
Yeah.
And there should be forms of it, that should. And we've gone way too long where Florida International and Alabama, operate under the same construct from the NCAA. And so I think that's, I think you're going to see, as I said, I think the NCAA's best case as it sits today is to hold on to basketball. And I don't know how that happens, when so many college basketball athletes, would fall more and look more like college football players. So it's pretty much the way it's going to happen. I just don't know the exact construct of it.
So, Shannon Terry with On3.com. When people look at On3.com, maybe they haven't to this point, what are they going to find, Shannon?
I'm going to find a lot of information about college sports. I mean, when we set out 2.5 years to start this, we went after the best of the best, except for you guys, because y'all have a great gig around college sports. And we want to be an authentic, place for fans, coaches, athletes to stay updated, to get information on college sports. We have, I think we just hit our 200 employees all throughout the U.S., and it's fun. Now, there's no better time to cover, to be involved in, to be a part of college sports, and that's who we are. Trying to be anyway.
Well, and every venture you've had, you've been ahead of everybody else, and I love the valuations now that we can look at these athletes and see and how many stories are you hearing from athletes and coaches and collectives that your system is being used in negotiations?
Well, it's completely being used, and it's being used because it's not hard to predict. Because basically we report deal flow between the athletes, the collectives, and the agents, and 90% of that number, are roster values as it relates to, playing the game. What gets more difficult to track are marketing and sponsor deals, but as I said, there's just not many of those true NIL deals in the marketplace right now. The money is coming from the schools, and ironically, the boosters are the ones paying the players to play and not the media rights or the schools. That will all change, though, soon. I just don't know how to define soon.
Shannon Terry, On3.com. Check them out. They're phenomenal at what
Always
they do.
Good, baby.
Hey, Shannon, thank you for the perspective, man. That was a fun conversation. Really appreciate you.
Can't wait to get you guys over here. See you soon.
Sir.
Looking
Thanks,
forward to it. You think they got basketball goals over there?
Oh, I'm sure.
Ah, yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, Shannon played basketball.
it's going to be like
Exactly.
a fun working atmosphere over there.
I'm dunking on somebody.
Work hard,
now.
play hard.
Somebody, Shannon. When you invite, I'm dunking on somebody. I don't care who it is. Interns, everybody can get it. Shannon, if you getting away, you can get it. Grant Firkin, he can get it. Everybody can get it.
Shannon, you getting away, you get it. He played for Don Meyer.
So he might trip me.
That's team, man.
He played to win.
How fascinating was that?
That's,
In terms of a stupid move by the NCAA 1 to 10, it's like 2 million.
yeah. He
That's
kept
what it
on,
feels like, but it's refreshing to hear somebody who really knows the NIL world,
There you
who basically is the NIL world there, to point it out. Crazy.
300 million deployed into the world of college football within the next 12
Roster
months.
value.
65 schools.
65 schools.
Man.
Yeah. And that move today, I'm glad we got him on today because, we booked him before the SEC Big Ten thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, they one of the things they said today basically is a big two.
Mm-hmm.
3HL 1045 the zone. If you want in, maybe you want to comment on what you just heard, 615-737-1045.